Did I start here the wrong stream?
Okay, jetzt geht's.
Oh, jetzt geht's?
Ja.
Yeah? Okay. Hare Krishna. I'm so sorry. These techniques. 2 more clicks. Okay. Welcome, my dear ladies and gentlemen, to our Janmastami special live stream. Today's Janmastami, the birth of Sri Krishna, and I am very happy that some of you are joining us for this storytelling, live storytelling here on Janmastami. So don't let's get any more delayed. Let's just rightly dive into the story. How it came that God, Sri Krishna, appeared here on earth. Everything started with an overburdened Mother Bhumi, Mother Earth. She couldn't take it anymore. It was just too much what was happening on her. She couldn't carry it on her shoulders anymore. You have to know, actually, mothers are mostly very strong, and especially Mother Earth, Mother Bhumi, she is so strong. She can carry a lot. She can carry trillion, zillion liters of water in her oceans. She can carry huge boulders piled up to mountains huge like the Himalayas, Mount Everest, and many, many more mountains on her surface. All these living entities crawling on her, walking on her, living in her. She can not only carry all of this, she can also nurture all of this. She can nurture all the living entities. But now she was feeling miserable. Mother Earth, the mother of every living entity, she couldn't take it anymore. It was too much. And why? What could she not take anymore? She saw that some of her children were exploiting her gifts. She saw that some are taking more than they were actually supposed to take, they were actually needed. They took more than they needed, so others started to suffer. So it was so much envy on her, so much envy happening on Mother Earth, so much greed. She saw envy, and also this greed resulted in unnecessary military forces. So much military, so much soldiers and fighting, so much war. These armies, these military forces were owned by so-called kings, but actually the scriptures say that were actually demons in disguise of kings. And these demons, they were greedy and they wanted more, and they let others fight against each other to have more from what actually belonged to someone else, because they were greedy and they couldn't let others live in peace. So much military, so much fighting, so much godlessness, so much violence. The living entities, some of them were living worse, human beings, were living worse than hogs and dogs. So Mother Bhumi, she felt miserable. She felt so sad what was going on her. She had a miserable state of mind and couldn't take it anymore. So she asked for help, or she wanted to ask for help. So she was thinking, to whom can I go to help me? I cannot live like this anymore. This has to change. So she decided to go to the eldest person in the universe. She decided to go to Brahma and ask for help. So she took the form of a cow, went to Lord Brahma, and with tears streaming down her eyes, she explained her horrendous condition. And of course, Brahma was compassionate and he wanted to help. But he was not in the position to do so, but he knew who maybe could help. So together they went to gather all the other demigods. They went to Shiva, Chandra, Surya, and all the demigods. Shiva was in the front. Bhumi, Mother Earth in form of a cow, came following, and they went. To whom they went? They went to the milk ocean. And on that milk ocean, in the middle of that ocean is a white island called Svetadweep. And on that white island is residing Lord Vishnu. So they wanted to talk to Lord Vishnu and they wanted to ask him for help. So how did they do this? Now all the demigods are standing at the shore of this milk ocean, and they didn't see Vishnu. They couldn't see him with their own eyes. They couldn't see him directly. They couldn't approach him directly. But they knew he was there. He was there on a milk ocean on a white island called Svetadweep in the middle of the ocean. So they started to recite the Purusha Shukta prayers. All the demigods, beautiful prayers. They recited it and they waited for an answer, but there was no response. Vishnu didn't answer. So Brahma was thinking, maybe he was thinking, but he wanted to help Mother Bhumi, Mother Earth. She was in a miserable condition, we just heard. She needed help. So they really needed to talk to Vishnu. So the next thing Brahma did, he sat down and meditated. He went in a deep trance. And then the communication channel opened. The heart opened from Brahma, and it was a heart-to-heart connection from Brahma to Vishnu. Brahma told everything what Mother Bhumi had just told him had just told Brahma, and he received an answer. Brahma received an answer from Lord Vishnu. Sorry, was just I was distracted. Sorry. Where he was, Vishnu. An answer from Lord Vishnu. I totally lost my thread. 1 second. Yeah, I have it. Sorry. The communication opened, the heart-to-heart connection. He received an answer from Lord Vishnu. Okay, what did Vishnu say? Of course, that's the question here now. What did Vishnu say? He said that he was already aware of that situation and that he, of course, would help. He said he would appear on earth and he would annihilate all the demons and he would establish the devotees back. All this Brahma then told to all the other demigods. Brahma was the only one who could hear the message. So he not only narrated that to the other demigods, Vishnu had also told him that all demigods should prepare to go to earth and take birth there. They should take birth in the Yadu dynasty or in other pious families to help him in his mission, to help him to annihilate the demons and re-establish the devotees. So Brahma told all this to the demigods and, of course, to Mother Bhumi. he told that help would come. This miserable condition she was living in, this miserable condition would not take long anymore. With sweet words, he pacified her, and then everybody left for their respected abodes. This was the first chapter. Someone asked for help, and help was on the way. So the demigods had appeared on earth, and now we are in Mathura. We are in the middle of a wedding scene. Not just any wedding. It was a royal wedding. It was the wedding of Vasudeva and Devaki. A royal wedding had just taken place. The ceremony was already over, and Devaki and Vasudeva were on their way to Vasudeva's house. They were sitting in a beautiful chariot, a golden chariot, of course, decorated with many jewels, probably pulled by beautiful horses, decorated horses, majestic horses, and the chariot driver, actually. The chariot driver, my dear ladies and gentlemen, the chariot driver was kind of demon number one. The chariot driver was Kansa. Kansa was the cousin brother of Devaki. And in that times it was custom that the brother, or a very close person to the daughter, takes care or brings the bride to the new house of the father-in-law, because she might feel a little bit separation, and she might feel uncomfortable to leave her mother's home, to leave her father's home, and to comfort her a little bit. The brother brings the bride usually to the in-laws' house. And this is what was happening here. Devaki and Vasudeva were seated in a beautiful chariot. Kansa was driving the chariot to Vasudeva's house, and the scene was ginormous. Devaka, the father of Devaki, he gave a huge dowry. Dowry. You have to imagine, he gave 1,800 chariots, decorated chariots, golden chariots, chariots with gold equipped, 400 elephants with golden chains, and all this were now proceeding through the streets of Mathura. It must have been a beautiful scene. I'm sure everyone in town was making sure they saw that procession. They must have beautified themselves like we did today for Janmastami. And they must cleaned the houses and decorated the streets. And there must have been a beautiful sand in the air. And everybody wanted to watch this. I'm almost sure this was the event of the year, a royal wedding, Vasudeva and Devaki, 400 decorated huge elephants proceeding through the streets. They wanted to see that. And they came. But suddenly, all this festive atmosphere, this music and dancing which was going on, were disturbed by a voice coming from the sky. A thunderous voice came from the sky, and this voice said, "Kansa, you were such a fool. You are driving the chariot of your sister and brother-in-law, but you don't know that the 8th child of your sister will kill you." As I just mentioned, Kansa was like the biggest demon on earth. Let's just dive a little bit into who is this Kansa. It is said in a former life, Kansa was Kalanemi, a demon called Kalanemi. And he was killed by Vishnu. Of course he didn't like that, and he wanted to take revenge for this killing. So in this life, this demon Kalanemi, he came back as Kansa, and he came back as the son of Padmavati and Ugrasena. Actually, Padmavati got tricked into an embrace by a demon, and from that embrace with the demon, Kansa got originated in his mother's womb. But now he was born as the son of Padmavati and Ugrasena. And Ugrasena, he was the king in charge of this field. And you could see right from his childhood that Kansa was very, very strong. He loved wrestling and he had the strength of 10,000 elephants. So now back to the scene. This demon heard a voice from the sky that the 8th child of his sister will kill him. So what is he doing? He is full of fear. He is full of fear and he is full of anger. So he grabs Devaki by the hair, pulls her from the chariot, takes the sword and wants to kill her on the spot. Kill his sister. He wanted really kill his sister on her wedding day. Devaki was helpless. She didn't know what to do, and Vasudev, the newly married husband, tried to save her, of course. He said, "Stop, Kansa, stop!" And quickly he had to think. First, he was thinking about, okay, let me flatter him with some words. So he said things to Kamsa like, "You are such a famous king, you are such a great warrior, you are such a valiant soldier. Why are you so infuriated that you want to kill your sister on her wedding day, at her marriage? That will destroy your reputation." But as he spoke these flattering words, he could see somehow still angry. Kansa is still angry. He still wants to kill my newly wedded wife, so he tried it a little bit more philosophical. He said things like, "Death is born with our birth, so from the day we are born, we begin to die. Don't be afraid, it's just a change of the body." Highly philosophical. If you are in a very angry mood, I mean, actually this is not even working for me, and I hope I'm not such a big demon like Kansa. But anyway, Vasudev tried. He tried the flattering, he tried the philosophy, but nothing could reach Kansa. He didn't care. He could not understand what Vasudev was trying to say. He deeply worried Vasudev. How can he pacify this Kansa? How can he stop him? How can he refraining him from killing his newly wedded wife? And then he came up with a promise. He said, "In a moment, there is no danger from your sister. The voice said that her child will be killing you. There will be a child, or there may not be a child or a boy, but I promise you, if we get sons, then I will present them all to you. And you can do whatever you like with them." Vasudev's thoughts were that, for now, let me save Devaki. If there is a child, like the voice predicted, then Devaki and the child will be safe, because the law of providence is inconceivable. If there is a child, then this child will be able to kill Kansa, and then everybody will be safe. So I just actually need to make sure Devaki is safe now. And this promise from Vasudev, that he promised that he would give, I mean, how can you promise that? How can you promise to give your child to such a cruel person? But he did that. He promised it. And Kansa knew that Vasudev's promise is something worth. He would never break his promise. So Devaki was saved. And everybody went home. I guess the wedding was spoiled by this. Maybe they tried to have a celebration after, but I'm sure this scene made all of this pompous wedding, made a huge shadow over the wedding. And can you imagine, really, after some time, a son was born. There was a son born to Vasudeva and Devaki. And like promised, Vasudeva immediately brought this son to Kansa. He was famous, Vasudeva was famous for his word of honor, and he wanted to maintain the faith. I'm sure it must have been painful for Vasudeva. Have you ever had a newborn baby in your child, your first son in your arms, your first son, and now you are on the way to a person who might kill that child, who might kill that boy? His heart must have been aching. How devastating is such a task? How hard can such a way be to bring your child there? So he brought his child, his newborn son, his first son, to Kansa. And Kansa was actually very surprised. He knew Vasudeva will keep his promise, but when he actually did, he was surprised. And then he showed, surprisingly, some compassion. He showed some compassion. Kansa said, I'm not in danger from that child. The 8th one should kill me, so you can take him back. So Vasudeva returned home. He was pleased and he was relieved, but he couldn't believe it. Kansa was unpredictable. He was uncontrolled. He could change his mind in any second. He could change his mind, so he couldn't get his luck, and he was not sure if it was true. And then, my dear ladies and gentlemen, Narada Muni came to Kansa. Narada Muni is actually a good one. He's a very good saint. He is the one who is like traveling from planet to planet and speaks about Vishnu to everyone. He is singing Vishnu's glories. He wants to make everyone a follower of Vishnu. He is a good person. He's a good saint. He's the good one. But then Narada Muni came to Kansa and he told him that actually the Vrindavan personalities and all their relatives, which are born in the Vrishni and Yadu dynasty, they are actually demigods, which means they were coming to assist Krishna. So this information from Narada Muni alarmed Kansa. When the demigods already appeared, when they are already on earth, that means Vishnu can come any time now. He must come very soon, so anyone can be him. And this information from Narada Muni let him change his mind. So immediately after Narada Muni left, he imprisoned Vasudeva and Devaki. And he took the child and killed it. What a cruel act. So now Vasudeva and Devaki are in prison, shackled in iron chains, their first son, baby, killed. Why did Narada Muni actually do that? He did that like I said, he's a good one. He did that because he wanted that Krishna appears very soon. There should be no more delay. So the first ones need to go fast that the eighth one can appear, was kind of the logic behind that. So now Devaki and Vasudeva are in prison. And year after year, Devaki gives birth to a son. And year after year, as soon as the first cries are visible, the gatekeepers are informing Kansa. Year after year, he is coming and immediately is taking care that these children will be killed. He personally is killing these 6 children. During that time when Vasudeva and Devaki are in prison, Kansa is he is concentrating on more power. He wants to demonstrate more power. Until now, his father, Ugrasena, was still in charge. But now he even put his father, Ugrasena, in prison and put himself on the throne. Also, Kansa occupied the kingdom of Vasudeva's father and declared himself king over that place. He occupied many kingdoms, the kingdom of the Yadus, the Bojas, Andarka dynasties, the kingdom of Sursena, Vasudeva's father. And he also allied with demon kings. He made sure that all these demon kings like Pralamba, Baka, Arishta, Divida, Putana, Keshi, that they all surrendered to him. And there is, Kansa was very, very, very strong. There's this one story in the Gaga Samhita which describes that once Kuvalayapida is a huge demon elephant, and he was owned by Jarasandha, another king. And one time this huge, ginormous fighting elephant was breaking free from Jarasandha's place, and he ran into the mountain. He ran exactly where Kansa had his fighting arena. So when all the wrestlers saw that this huge elephant was approaching, they were running away, but not Kansa. Kansa was grabbing him by the trunk and just threw him to the ground. And when Kuvalayapida gets up and attacks once more, Kansa just took this huge, ginormous elephant from whom everybody was running away. He just took this elephant, and it is said he threw him 80 miles back into Jarasandha's place where he was escaped from. 80 miles. That means someone must have seen on the way a flying ginormous elephant going by. Kansa was that strong. So everybody of these demons like Pralamba, Keshi, everybody surrendered to him, and they had these demons in his power. On the other side, Kansa harassed a lot of people, like the kings of the Boja and Andarka dynasties, and they tried to take shelter in different places. They were hiding, they were scattering all over the country because they were fearing Kansa. It is also, some also say Kansa is the fear personified. He is the person fear. That was what he was doing. He brought fear into this world. So some of the relatives of the Yadu dynasty, they even lived in mountain caves to hide because they were so fearful. And also Vasudeva had many wives, not only Devaki. for example, Rohini was also one of his wives. And he took care that Rohini has a proper shelter in Vrindavan. Okay, we are at the point where Devaki had born 6 children. All of them cannot even talk about it. Tears are just coming into my eyes when I mean, how can you do? All of them got killed. Now, Devaki got pregnant for the 7th time. And this time it was a little different. You could already see some extraordinary beauty was in Devaki's body. You could see she was more beautiful than with the other pregnancies. And that was that this 7th child was an expansion of Lord Vishnu. It was actually Balarama, the one who has this all spiritual power and by which power you can attain the highest bliss. So this Ananta, this Balarama was in Devaki's womb. And at that time, when she was pregnant with Balarama in the spiritual abode, Krishna had a meeting with Yogamaya. And Krishna told Yogamaya that she should transfer this Ananda, this 7th child of Devaki, she should transfer her to the womb, she should transfer him, the child in the womb, to Rohini, the other wife of Vasudeva hiding in Vrindavan. And then after this transfer took place, he would appear. Krishna himself would appear as the son of Devaki and Vasudeva, and he said, and you, my dear Yogamaya, you will appear as the daughter of Nanda and Yashoda in Vrindavan. So, and that was how it was arranged. Yogamaya arranged everything when the transfer took place. Devaki and Yashoda were under the spell of Yogamaya. They did not really know what was happening. The baby got transferred from one room to another, and after that happened, everybody thought Devaki had a miscarriage. So now we're almost there. Krishna is almost appearing on this earth. Let me just drink a sip. The 8th child is about to appear. How that happened? First, it is said, Krishna entered the mind of Vasudeva. From the mind, he got situated in Vasudeva's heart. There he appeared like a glowing sun. And from the heart of Vasudeva, Krishna went into the heart of Devaki. And from Devaki's heart, he went into her womb. So he entered her womb. And from that moment on, Devaki became the home, the residence of the absolute truth. And everybody could see that, because now her beauty was glowing. It was a transcendental beauty. It was visible to everyone because God was in her womb. So everybody could see something extraordinary is going on. Even Kansa, he could understand. Never before was Devaki so wonderfully beautiful. So the 8th child is about to appear. Again, this demon had the thought, maybe if I kill Devaki now, then everything is over. I could just kill her now with this child in her womb, but then he thought, I mean, if the voice is right, then the wrath of Vishnu will just be more vehement. The supreme force, it will be just more vehement. So, and on top of that, my reputation will be ruined. I'm not only killing my sister, now I would kill my pregnant sister. And he juggled the arguments, the pros and cons, but finally decided, no, that's not a good plan. Let's stick to the way it worked before. As soon as the baby is coming out, I will take care of that. And I will kill him then. It will work this time the same like it did with the other ones. But something was different. This time he was frightened. He was frightened. The fear personified. The fear in person was frightened. He couldn't sleep, he couldn't walk, he couldn't eat, he couldn't work. In all his situations of life, he thought about this 8th child, and he was frightened. Still, he thought about Krishna, but that does not make him to a devotee, because he thought about Krishna in a way of harming him. How can I destroy this Vishnu? How can I kill this Vishnu? How can I get rid of him? He was not thinking of Krishna in a loving way. How can I serve him? How can I get in a sweet relationship with him? No, these were not Kansa's thoughts. Kansa was thinking, how can I kill God? So he was frightened in every situation. When Krishna was in Devaki's room, then also the demigods appeared and they prayed beautiful prayers. You can read this in Krishna book from Srila Prabhupada. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, he made beautiful translation and comments about this story of Krishna's birth, and also these prayers of the demigods are very, very beautiful. You can read them there. And finally, my dear ladies and gentlemen, the time was there. The time of Krishna's appearance was almost there. So, when the time came close, the surroundings, the atmosphere, everything beautified themselves. It is described that the planets adjusted so that everything became auspicious. In all directions, the atmosphere became beautiful, auspicious. Peace and prosperity were suddenly grabbable in almost in the air. The rivers were full of water. The lakes were full of beautiful decorated lotus, beautifully decorated with lotus flowers. And in the forests, the birds were singing. Sorry. The birds were singing in the forests. Beautiful birds were singing in the forest with a melodious voice. And peacocks were dancing to the songs. And the air was blowing very sweet scents everywhere. And even the brahmanas, who were so afraid till now, who were so afraid of Kansa, they even stopped doing their yagyas. Suddenly they felt the atmosphere is very auspicious for doing yagyas, and they could hear transcendental sounds in the air which told that now the Supreme Lord would appear on earth. So the birds were singing, nature was aligning, everything was beautified, and the Gandharvas and Kinnaras began to sing, and the angels began to dance, and the waves in the sea made beautiful waves and sounds, and in the sky the clouds were rumbling. There were a little thunder here and there. And it is said that even the moon, who was not supposed to show his full face on that day, there should not have been a full moon on that day, but still he was so happy because Krishna would appear in the moon dynasty. So he was so happy Krishna was coming that he showed his full face on that day. So when everything was adjusted like this, the Lord appeared in the prison in front of Devaki and Vasudeva. And he did not just appear like an ordinary child. When he appeared, he had 4 arms and he was holding his typical things like conch, club, lotus and disc. He was decorated with a Srivatsa sign. He was wearing jewelry. He was wearing a necklace with Kaustuba stone. He was wearing bracelets, earrings, other ornaments. He was dressed. This newborn baby was dressed in silk clothes. He had a helmet. He had a shiny helmet, a decorated helmet, and his skin was like a blackish cloud, and he had an abundance of hair. So when Devaki and Vasudeva saw that, they were struck with wonder. How can a child, a newborn child, be decorated like that? No child on earth is born like that. So Vasudeva understood. The Supreme Lord appeared, and he was extremely grateful. He was extremely grateful that in this horrendous condition he was in this imprisoned situation, still the Lord appeared in that darkness. And he wanted to celebrate. He wanted to give out so much charity. He wanted to give out so much cows to the brahmanas, but he couldn't. So he did it all in his mind. In his mind he gave out the cows. In his mind he gave out the charity to celebrate this birth of his son. And then he started, of course, beautiful prayers and thanked Krishna for appearing in this darkness, in this prison. The prayers were full of reverence and awe. Also Devaki started to pray to the newborn child. But then this fear of Kansa came back in her heart, and she said, how can she not? How can she not be fearful? She saw Kansa killing 6 of her children. She was afraid he would come any moment and also kill this one. Still she identified, even she could see, it was clearly not a normal child. He had 4 arms, blue helm, decorated like anything. He could see, but still he identified as a child, her child. So he asked him to hide. He asked him to take the form of a normal human child, so that Kansa would not know that Vishnu appeared. She didn't want that he would fall in Kansa's cruel hands. And then Vishnu spoke. Vasudeva already prayed. Then Vishnu spoke. And he explained that Devaki and Vasudeva were actually, all the time when he comes to earth, they are his parents. For example, they were also the parents when he came as Vamana. And that after this life, they would go back to the spiritual world. And then he asked for a favor, a great favor. He asked Vasudeva to bring him to Gokul, to Nanda and Yashoda. And Vasudeva should exchange him with the baby girl Yashoda had just born. And then this 4-armed, beautiful decorated, beautiful shining Vishnu took the form of a normal baby. Meanwhile in Vrindavan, it is said that Nanda and Yashoda for a very long time had tried to get a son, but they couldn't. They just couldn't get a son. They made sacrifices. They took vows. Even the residents of Vrindavan wanted to help them, and they also made sacrifices for them. They took vows so that they could get a child, but nothing worked. And it was a time when when Nanda Maharaj said, okay, maybe I should not get any children. But then Yashoda jumped in and said, let's make together one last sacrifice. And they did that. And after doing that for 1 year, Nanda Maharaj had a dream. I like these dream situations in these stories. So this time Nanda Maharaj had a dream. And in this dream, Lord Hari appeared in front of Nanda Maharaj, and he said, in every kalpa, I come as your son. Very soon, I'm going to appear and perform my childhood pastimes. And then Nanda woke up and he knew, the time is there. We will get a son. We will get a child. It worked. It really worked. And he was so happy. He already gave charity to all the brahmanas. And it is said that even demigods came and rishis came, and everybody got charity because Nanda Maharaj was so happy that finally he would get a son. And sometime later, another dream. And in this dream, Nanda Maharaj saw a baby boy in a bluish complexion. And Jiva Goswami is telling this in Gopa Champu. He saw a baby girl in a yellowish complexion. And then these two children entered Nanda Maharaj's heart. And from the heart of Nanda Maharaj, they went to Yashoda. And she was pregnant. And after 9 months, Indra started a light rain to purify everything. Yashoda gave birth. She gave birth, Jiva Goswami says, to a boy in a bluish complexion and to a girl in a goldenish complexion. And this was Krishna and Yogamaya. So Yogamaya was born now in Vrindavan. And we just heard that in Mathura, Vasudeva got the order to exchange the son born to him with the baby girl in Vrindavan. So Yogamaya arranged now that everybody in the palace of Kansa fell asleep. Everybody fell asleep. The chains opened, the doors opened, and Vasudeva could go. He took his little boy and he went out of the palace. Krishna was born at midnight and it was very, very dark. But when Vasudeva took him out, he could see everything. It was just as light as the sun would shine. So the darkness disappeared. We understand that, of course, Krishna was so self-effulgent that he illuminated everything. He illuminated the whole place. So Vasudeva, even if he stepped into the darkness, he could see everything. But there was thunder. It was not only dark. There was thunder and there was severe rain. So Vasudeva was going with this baby now out of the palace during the storm, in the rain, on his way to Gokul. And it is described that Ananta appeared in the form of a serpent, a many-hooded serpent. And he put his many hoods over Vasudeva to protect him and the baby from the rain and the storm. And in that way they walked towards Gokul. But to reach there, he needed to cross Yamuna. And Yamuna was full of water. She was raging. It was a roaring river with huge waves, and Vasudeva was just gazing at this fast-flowing river and was thinking, oh my goodness, how should I go there? How should I cross there? There's no boat, and even if there would be a boat, no boatman would take me now. So he was wondering how this fast river, huge waves, storm, how should I cross it? Suddenly the river stopped. It stopped flowing. And not only that it stopped flowing, it also parted gradually, so that Vasudev could just walk through. You have to know, this river wasn't any river. It was Yamuna Devi. And Yamuna Devi is a devotee of the Lord. She wanted to help. So she stopped her waters and she parted so that Vasudev could just go through. But not that easy. Suddenly, when he was walking through, suddenly the water came back. The water came back first to his feet, then to his knees, to his waist, and finally the water was still here, and he kept Krishna over his head, and he was thinking, oh my God, what is going on? Someone take him, someone take him. And just as he cried out that, a huge wave came, and Krishna was gone. He lost him from his hands, and he, panic-stricken, he was now in this water searching for Krishna, and then suddenly Yamuna in person, with Krishna in her hand, appeared in front of Vasudeva and said, I'm sorry, I just wanted to touch his feet. And safely he gave Vasudeva the baby back, and she parted again so that he could go across the river. Whew, horrible. So he is now at the other side. He is now in Gokul. Yogamaya arranged that there also everybody was sleeping. Silently, he entered the house of Nanda and Yashoda. Yashoda was asleep, and she had just given birth, right? So Vasudeva took the baby girl and gave the boy to Yashoda and was leaving very quickly and very silently again back to Mathura. As Vasudeva was leaving, this is what Jiva Goswami says, that Vasudeva was leaving, then this form, this Vishnu form Vasudeva brought, merged into baby Krishna, and two became one. And when Mother Yashoda awoke a little bit later, then she saw her sweet Krishna lying next to her. Vasudeva is back in prison. He gives the daughter he has taken from Yashoda to Devaki in her lap. The shackles are back on his arms. The doors are closed. And now the little girl starts to cry. From this cry, the guards awake. They hear the newborn baby, and they do what they always did when they heard a newborn baby. They run to Kansa to inform him. Kansa, full of fear, getting up from his bed, running down. He was sure now. His dad was there. His death was there. His death was approaching. So, full of panic, full of fear in person, went to the prison. And when Devaki saw him, when Devaki saw Kansa, she pleaded like anything. She pleaded like anything, don't kill her, it's a girl, you have nothing to fear from her. The omen said, a boy will kill you, don't kill her, let this daughter live. She knew it wasn't her daughter, she knew it was the daughter from Yashoda, but still she was fighting for this life. She saw how cruel this Kansa can be, and she wanted to protect this little girl like anything. So she pleaded and she cried and she was hoping he would not. But Kansa didn't listen. He grabbed the little girl. He was about to do the same like he did with all the others. He lifted her and attempted to crush her on a stone, but as he did, as he lifted her up, this baby girl, Yoga Maya actually, she slipped out of his hands and merged into a beautiful 8-armed form. Beautiful dress, flower garland, ornaments, and in all her hands, 8 hands, celestial weapons. Then she said, "Oh, you fool, Kansa, the child who will kill you is already born somewhere else. Don't be so cruel to your sister." And then she vanished. So Kansa was in total shock. He didn't know where this Krishna was. He knew he was born. He was frightened. But out of this frightness, out of this surprise, what he had just seen, I mean, he had seen Durga with all his arms, her arms. So he immediately released Vasudeva and Devaki from prison. And he even asked for forgiveness. He asked Vasudeva and Devaki to forgive him that he killed 6 of her children, of their children. And they did. They forgave him and went out of prison. But we know our Krishna is safe. Our Krishna is in Vrindavan. And actually now in Vrindavan start the most wonderful, loving childhood pastimes one can imagine. But this is not for today. Today was only about the birth of Sri Krishna. So I hope you liked it. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for joining. Sorry for the beginning technique problems. I wish you a wonderful Janmastami still ahead. Krishna was born at 12. Here we have it now 7 o'clock. So here in Mayapur, every place is like vibrating with kirtan in the moment. There will be beautiful abhisheks coming in 2-3 hours, and the culmination of this Janmastami festival will be at 12 o'clock with a wonderful feast. So thank you so much. May Krishna also appear in your hearts and your life, and happy Janmastami. Hare Krishna.